Hi friends, Miss Manning here. Today we're going to finish off our book, Mercy Watson Thinks Like a Pig. We have 3 more chapters to get through and we're going to see how this fun adventure ends. Now before we finish, I do want to take a little picture walk just to remind our brains what has happened so far in the story. So of course we know the setting takes place on Decawoo Drive. And we had the Lincoln sisters with a project at hand. Eugenia wanted to beautify the yard with some pansies. Now Mercy smelled those pansies and tasted those pansies and enjoyed eating most of Eugenia's flowers. Eugenia, as we can always tell, was not happy with Mercy. And Mercy, she thought it was kind of fun. It turned into a chase. Now the Watsons next door assumed that everything was fine, but called Mercy over for some toast. Now Eugenia was not okay with the situation. So she took matters into her own hands and called the Animal Control Office. And that's when we met Animal Control Officer Francine Poulet. She was asking about the kind of job she would need to do. And Eugenia yelled, "It's a pig." Now Baby warned the Watsons about this phone call and said there was going to be unmentionable horrors ahead. Meanwhile, Mercy, who had been snoozing, was visited by the neighbors, Frank and Stella, inviting her to a tea party. Now Mercy was promised lots of goodies. Also in the meantime, Francine Poulet is now on her way to Decawoo Drive in search of the pig. On the way, she finds some dogs and loads them in the truck. Now she's trying to remind herself to think like a pig, think like a pig. And this is where we read last week, where Mr. and Mrs. Watson were running and asking, "Have you seen a pig? She's gone missing." Now, we are going to continue on. Mercy is at the tea party with Frank and Stella, and she is becoming quite angry because she's been promised all these treats. And as we know, the treats are just imaginary. So Mercy is growing a little frustrated. And my friends, chapter 13 is where we will continue. Here we are. Chapter 13. Animal Control Officer Francine Poulet was scouting the backyards of Decawoo Drive. She leaped over hedges. She crept through flower beds. She thought piggy thoughts. She climbed a tree and surveyed the yard below her. She saw 3 people wearing hats. She saw 3 people sitting at a table having tea. "Isn't that nice?" said Francine Poulet. "Isn't that sweet?" And as we can see in the picture, those 3 people, there's something a little different about them. Francine looked more closely. "Wait a minute," she said. "One of those people is not a person. One of those people is a pig. Francine, you have located the pig. You are the best animal control officer in the history of the world. And now you must capture the pig. On the count of 3, 1, 2. Francine Poulette closed her eyes. She leaped from the tree. 3. Chapter 14. Mercy decided that she had had more than enough of nothing. She stood up. She was going home. Suddenly, there was a high-pitched yell. A woman fell from the sky and landed head first on the tea table. Oh my goodness. I love how we have these lines showing the movement. Even some leaves and parts of the tree came down. And of course, all those stars by her head. Those are kind of signs that she's had a big bang. Everything flying. What a cool picture. Well, not great for Francine. Stella screamed. Frank screamed louder. And Mercy screamed loudest of all. One street over, Mr. Watson said to Mrs. Watson, "Do you hear what I hear?" "That is our darling," said Mrs. Watson. "That is our dear, and she is in trouble." Mr. Watson and Mrs. Watson started to run. In our final chapter, chapter 15, we can see the house. Looks like it's nighttime now, or getting close to it. Chapter 15. Animal Control Officer Francine Poulette rolled off the table. She wrapped her arms around Mercy. "Think like a pig," said Francine. Mr. Watson and Mrs. Watson came running into the backyard. Still kind of have the stars around her head. I see the feet run into the backyard. Frank and Stella still there. Mercy just looking up at Francine. I wonder what's going to happen next. "You found her," said Mrs. Watson. "You are our hero," said Mr. Watson. "You landed right directly on top of your head," said Frank. "I do feel a little woozy," said Francine. "Maybe you're just hungry," said Mrs. Watson. "Maybe you need some toast." "Toast?" said Francine. "Toast," thought Mercy. "And these dogs look hungry too," said Mrs. Watson. "Would you fellows like some toast?" "I wonder if this is a good idea," said Francine Poulette as she let the dogs out of the truck. I see at least 4 dogs hopping out. Excuse me. "It's a wonderful idea," said Mrs. Watson. "Now, Stella, run next door and invite Eugenia and Baby to our small celebration." "Tell them it is in honor of..." Mr. Watson turned to Francine. "What is your name, my dear?" "My name is Animal Control Officer Francine Poulette," said Francine. "And I've been trying to think like a pig." "Well," said Mr. Watson, "not just anybody can think like a pig. Not just anybody can be a porcine wonder." "I guess not," said Francine. "You keep trying, dear," said Mrs. Watson. "In the meantime, let's all go have some toast." We still see some of those stars on her head. At least there's only 2 of them now. Maybe she's feeling better. And the toast might help. And of course, the book's usually in this way around the kitchen table in the Watson's kitchen. But we have a lot of guests this time. Let's take a peek at who we have. We have here, of course, Baby Watson. We have Baby Lincoln. I messed up on that one. Baby Lincoln, Eugenia Lincoln. We have General Washington. We have Mercy, Stella, Frank. 1, 2, 3, 4 dogs from Francine's truck. Miss Francine Poulette, Mr. Watson, and of course, Mrs. Watson bringing in some toast. Oh, I noticed some jam on the table too. Now, as we always do, let's take a peek at how many pieces of toast we have this time to be served. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 slices, which I don't even know if that's enough for everybody. Usually Mercy eats 10 slices herself. And that, my friends, is the end of the story. So we do have one more book in this series, and I'm sorry that I'm not able to zoom in so well right now. But the next book we're going to be looking at is called Mercy Watson, Something Wonky This Way Comes. That's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this book. I thought it was a very fun one. Bye, my friends.